Oh, yeah, well, I'm not, like, super hungry. I'm not, like, starving right now, so it's fine. Anyway, you're throwing me off my groove.
I'm sorry, baby. Underrated movie.
I'm sorry, sir. You threw off the Emperor's groove. Anyway, so today we're going to be focusing on one of my favorite parts of my Mexican culture, which is indigenous culture. And with indigenous culture comes my favorite aspect of everything, which is storytelling. I'm a writer, so I love storytelling. I love creating stories. I love reading stories. So part of indigenous culture is that a lot of indigenous culture, not only just in Latin America, but in just, you know, like Native American culture, every indigenous culture in the world always had what? They had myths. They had stories to explain creation, to explain why mountains, where mountains came from, where volcanoes came from, where oceans came from, life after death. So that's kind of just, even now we're doing that. Like maybe in a couple thousand years, we're gonna have our civilization looking back at our religions and our beliefs as myths. Because to them, indigenous culture, all of these myths that we're gonna do, they were real to them. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, and we're gonna talk about my favorite myth in all of my Mexican culture. Little background on me before we start. This is why this is my favorite myth. My dad is from a state in Mexico called Puebla, and in between Puebla and Mexico City, like the city, lies 3 volcanoes, one inactive. And those 3 volcanoes are part of a story and a myth, which has, like, the very first time I heard it, I absolutely loved it. It has inspired so much artwork as well. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen this particular artwork that we're going to talk about. And that artwork, you probably don't know, was inspired by this myth, because it's such a famous myth and it's such a beautiful myth as well. It kind of represents a lot of our Hispanic culture. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna get started by storytelling. Ready? I'm gonna get into my storytelling kind of like voice. I'm gonna tell you the story of the 2 lover volcanoes in between Mexico City and Puebla. And ready for these names? These names are actually gonna make you freak out, because whenever I said it to anybody, they were literally like, but it's a challenging thing to say, because their names are in a dialect belonging to the Aztecs called Nahuatl. So the 2 volcanoes are called Popocatepetl and Iztaccihuatl. Yeah, that's a pretty big name. Yeah, people like to shorten it, so Popocatepetl's name is just El Popo, like the Popo, and then Iztaccihuatl is just Itzta. You can just say Iztaccihuatl, like Itzta. These 2 volcanoes have the most amazing myth, and it goes something like this. During the time of the Aztecs, there was a chief that wanted to rebel against, like, the major Aztec empire, because they would always come by and ask for taxes, and they were just under this very, very big society that was basically like they were tyrants. So he decided to rebel. He had a daughter called Princess Iztaccihuatl. She was the most beautiful princess woman in the tribe, in basically, they said, the land. And she was in love with the best warrior called Popocatepetl, or Popo. He was very handsome. He was always successful in battles, and they were both in love. They were both in love with each other. So while this kind of rebellion was going on, Popocatepetl went up to the chief and asked for her hand in marriage. And the chief said that he would give him his blessing if El Popo went to the battle that they were about to do and came back successful. Some versions are different. Some versions just say if he was successful, if he came back and defeated the opposing tribe, that he would get a hand. Some versions of the story say that the chief told him if he came back with the head of the chief from the opposing tribe, he would grant the marriage. He would grant the blessing. So El Popo agreed and went out onto war, and Iztaccihuatl was super excited, but she stayed behind, obviously. And then throughout that time when he was at war, this very envious, jealous warrior or person called Tlaxcala, I believe his name was, told Iztaccihuatl that Popocatepetl had died in war. So in her grief and in her sadness, she died. So she died and she passed away. When Popocatepetl came back and heard the news, he was enraged. He walked the streets infuriated. He went to go look at her and try and find her. So what happened is that he went to her house and he lifted her up like bridal style, which comes into play that very famous like Mexican artistic portrait that you see of a guy with a headdress carrying a woman that's like all like limp, and that's Popocatepetl and Iztaccihuatl. So the legend goes that he lifted her up and he took her to one of the highest hills that they had and laid her down, bent the knee and pulled up a torch, and like swore to forever guard her body in her eternal sleep. And as time went by, snow started covering their bodies and they turned into these massive mountains. And what ended up being the two famous volcanoes that are right next to each other in Mexico City, between Mexico City and Puebla. Popocatepetl, the volcano, is still very, very active, which kind of goes along with the legend, because they say that every time he remembers his beloved and all the love that he felt for her, his torch flames, which is basically the volcano erupting. Iztaccihuatl, though, because she is like she is considered like dead, she's a dormant volcano, so she has not erupted for years. For the jealous man Tlaxcala, that said that Popocatepetl had died to, like, that had lied to Iztaccihuatl, also became a mountain, but he became a mountain in the region of Puebla called El Pico de Orizaba. And they say that El Pico de Orizaba is destined to watch the two lover volcanoes forever, just immersed in their love because of what he did. And that's my fucking famous volcano. So here's a little information geographically of these amazing volcanoes. So Popocatepetl derives its name from the Nahuatl word popoa, which means smoke. And the other half of the name, Tepetl, meaning hill. So his name literally means smoky, like hill that smokes. Volcano. And then the popularity, to most of the people in Mexico, it's referred to, like I said, as El Popo, but there are people that live on its hillside. Like there are towns that are just basically overshadowed by the volcano. They call them Don Goyo. I don't know why, but they do. Iztaccihuatl derives from the two Nahuatl words called Itztac, which means white, and Cihuatl, which is interpreted as woman. So it translates to white woman. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this. This is why it's so amazing. If you ever get to go, Ruby, to Mexico and see these volcanoes up front and just in person, Iztaccihuatl is the frame of the volcano literally looks like a laying woman. It looks like a woman laying down on a volcano, on a mountainside, which is why a lot of the time she's also referenced as the sleeping woman, because you can see the outline of the volcano as a sleeping woman, which is probably where this legend came about. These two volcanoes are an amazing place to go see if you ever visit Mexico. Every time I go and every time I'm traveling to my dad's little town in Puebla, I love getting there. We get there, we take the red eye, so we get there at 3-4 in the morning. We leave the airport around 6, so it's pretty early in the day, and it's so beautiful. I wish I had more pictures, but it's so beautiful seeing on the open road, and it's open fields, and you just see these two massive volcanoes just with each other. And then if you go during the winter, Popocatepetl and Iztaccihuatl are full of just snow. And it's just, oh my god, it's so beautiful. But anyway, yes, this is my favorite myth of all time. I love it because it's Hispanic Heritage Month, so I thought that I would share a little bit of storytelling. This is just one of the many myths that like the Mexican people have to describe just a lot of just phenomenons in the world. And since I'm a writer, I'm going to keep doing that because I'm going to keep looking up myths. This one was off the top of my head because I have loved it since I was a little girl. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys stuck around. I love that you guys left my decorations. You guys now know something new about the Mexican culture. Yes, so I'm going to continue looking for amazing myths and sharing with you guys. So thank you so much. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe ask, request me, I don't know, request a myth that you guys want to hear, or like a myth that you heard or something, and just comment down below, see what you think. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Be sure to follow me on my social media like Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of October. I am so excited to bring you guys some scary ass legends next. I love it. So yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. Mexicana Americana. Actually, now that I think about it, this shirt was my very first informational video. Totally. Yes, I repeat. I'm not rich. I don't have millions of shirts. I repeat shirts. Anyway.
We're satisfied with our limited shirts. Thank you, baby.
Yes. Maybe one day I'll have a fucking closet like the Kardashians or something.
Smart ass dog.